Good morning, guys. I'm here to show you how to incorporate an internet source into your Noodletools Works Cited. You have to do a little bit more work with the internet source than you do with the database source. But the first thing we want to do is get back into your project. So if you remember, I just come over here to my Google Apps and I scroll down and I get to Noodletools. And again, since I've used it before and recently, within the past year, it's going to get me right in there. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you go back into the project that you already created. So my project was on mental health. So I find it right here and I open it up. And then I want to make sure that I just come up and go right into my sources. So I can see my database source that I already included. It's right here. And now I want to add a new source, and this is an internet source. I know this because I used Google to get to it. So it's on the free web. It looks like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up to new source. And if you remember, Noodletools is nice because it makes you slow down and think about your sources. And with the internet, this is very, very important. Okay, you have to remember that anybody can publish anything on the internet within a matter of seconds. So you just have to be really, really careful. So you want to make sure that you're looking at where your source is coming from. So I'm going to choose website. And again, you can get to a lot of things via Google. You can get to newspaper articles, images, television programs, all of those things. But a lot of times you're really just going to be using a web page. So I am going to record that. So here's where you actually have to fill in as many of these blanks as you can. With the database, you can easily copy and paste the citation already done. Here, you're going to essentially create your own citation by putting in all of the information and then letting Noodletools put it together for you. So the first thing that you want to look for is you want to look for the URL. That's the web address. And again, Noodletools will give you little helpful hints up here in this little information field if you need it. But it's easy for me to go back and forth between Noodletools and my website. So my website is right here. So I can come in right here to the URL. I can copy it with a Control-C, and I can come back and I can paste it, the Control-V. Okay. The next thing we want to know is how old is your source? Okay, remember with things on the web, just because they're on the web doesn't mean they're new. If you need a newer source, this is something to pay attention to. So for some of you, you're going to find a specific date. So for example, with my source, I find a very, very specific date, 2/26/2021. This was just published. If I scroll down, for others of you that don't have a specific date, a lot of times what you can do is you can at least look for a copyright date. So that means you go to the bottom of your screen, you look for that little tiny C with a circle around it, and you put in the date that comes after it, 2021. But I have that very specific date of 2/26/2021, which is only a few days old. And I'm going to put that in there with the drop downs. So February 26th, 2021. And again, if you only had the year, you would only put the year. Most recent date of access, we want to know when did you actually look at the source. Remember, internet sources are constantly changing. So I am going to I'm looking at it today, so I'm going to use this little today link. Okay. So the next part is asking me a little bit more information about who is giving me the information that I'm finding. So the first thing I want to look for is, do I have an author, an editor, or a translator? With some websites, you won't have an author. My website, I do actually have a specific author. It's right here. I can see that he's an MD. Actually, when I go down in my article, it gives me a little bit more information about him. It tells me about his background, his education, some of the things he's worked on, why he's qualified to give me information on anxiety and depression. So I'm going to go ahead And I'm going to put his information in here. So it looks like it's Arash. And I'm going to actually copy this because it's a little, oh, it's not going to let me do that. Okay, I'm going to have to do my best. I'm going to skip the middle name. And I'm going to go back. Javanbach. Okay, and I'm going to type that in. Now notice Noodletools will also give me little hints. So it knows this is the last name. It tells me to capitalize it. And then I could even put his suffix in here, which is that MD if I want. Okay. Oh, it's telling me not to include professional titles. So you know what? Thank you, Noodletools. I'm going to get rid of that. All right, the next thing I need is the web page and the website. So this is a little confusing sometimes. The website is the larger thing, okay? So if I'm looking at this site right here, the whole entire site is coming from this ADAA, the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. But I am using a very specific page on it. That's the smaller thing. And that's this right here, the exercise pill, how exercise keeps your brain healthy. And I can even see it up here. So up here, I can see the actual site. And then here on the very end, after this backslash, I can see the page. And I can also see the page up in my tab. Okay. So I'm going to copy this. Oh, it's not. Well, maybe it will let me copy this. Okay, let's see. So that's my web page. Okay. It's suggesting that I capitalize the first letter of the words, but it wasn't capitalized in what I had copied, so I'm just going to leave it. Now the name of the website, again, that was this ADAA, and that's what I'm going to put, ADAA. Finally, the last thing I need is the publisher of the site. And this can be really, really helpful, especially if you don't have an author. It can tell you a little bit more about where your information is coming from. So when I look at my site, to find the publisher, you always want to scroll down to the bottom and you want to look for that copyright again. And usually whatever comes after the date for the copyright is going to be your publisher. So my publisher is this ADAA. And what does that tell me? Well, it's coming from this organization, the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. I could find out a little bit more about it. It's really an organization that's composed of doctors and nurses and medical professionals that actually is working with people on mental health. So a good source for my topic. If I notice, when I click on this, it tells me that if my publisher's name is the same as the site name, I don't have to put it again. So I'm going to leave that one blank. You never have to do an annotation in here, so you can leave that blank. And now all I have to do is click Save. Oh, I forgot to select my role for my contributor. So that was my author. So I have to go back and do that really quickly. Now let's see if I can save this. Okay, and there you go. There's my source, done. I can see my author. I can see the title of the article I used. I can see where it came from. I can see the date that it was written. I can see the date that it was accessed, all of those things. Okay, if you have any questions, please reach out, email or call. I'm happy to help you out. Bye, guys.